Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Another show, another day, and it is BW Hotelier again. Today is our sixth and last show dedicated to the North, and this one is a Rajasthan special. Today I have some of the finest hospitality skippers who marshal some of the finest hospitality assets in the state with me. More on them in a bit. Come about the GM show. We're now into our last 4 shows. Coming week, we will have 2 back-to-back shows focused only on Goa. Before we go down south for our last show and the 20th of the series before we draw curtains on Tuesday, the 29th of March. The GM show next week, as I said, will be on Tuesday, 5 p.m. and another one on Thursday, 5 p.m. Welcome again. The topic of the show today is tourism in Rajasthan, challenges and opportunities for the hospitality industry. Like I said, I have some of the finest skippers on show. It's time to introduce them all. Let me begin with the man who's logging in from Dubai, Rajiv Kapoor. Hi, Rajiv.
Hey, Bobby, how are you?
General manager of the well-placed Fairmont in Jaipur. A seasoned hospitality professional with over 20 years of experience. At Fairmont Jaipur, he's at the helm of a grand and experienced team that runs this modern palace, the first Fairmont in the country, and I learned there are a few more coming. And of course, one of the most prestigious hotels in Accor's Lux portfolio in India. Being an avid participator in the various aspects of hotel operations and services, this lad of an Air Force officer has been actively involved in the management of destination properties and repositioned them amidst the hospitality stalwarts internationally. He believes in creating experiences that transform hospitality into a celebration for guests. How does that work, Rajiv?
Bhuvi, first of all, thank you for having me here. It's great to be part of the GM show. Currently, I'm in Dubai attending a regional meet for all the Accor IMEA GMs. We are around 400 GMs here. And I can tell you, everybody wants to come to India and want to visit Rajasthan. So we all here hold a special place as one of the crowns in India of hospitality and tourism in Rajasthan. And being the only Fairmont, proud to be leading a fantastic team here.
Excellent. So you're being a great ambassador for the state and your brand, of course, and more than that for the industry.
Thank you.
Let me now circle into our good friend who sits in Udaipur, Nishant Agarwal. I was just comparing him with a Hollywood great. Nishant is the general manager of the Leela Palace in Udaipur. A very short introduction to a well-accomplished hotelier, an accomplished and seasoned hotelier with over 2 decades of hospitality experience. Nishant values momentous service and excellence in everything he does. How cool is that, Nishant? He has set up some of the best award-winning operations, domestic and internationally, and believes that camaraderie and solidarity will help you achieve anything you set your mind to. Excellent, Nishant. Welcome to the show, Nishant.
Thank you, Bhuvi, for having me there. And looking forward for next 45 minutes interacting with industry colleagues and getting some insights as well.
If you don't mind, 60 minutes plus.
Great.
All right, now I move on to my bucket list. Ranthambore, Anand Singh Shekhawat. Anand Singh Shekhawat is the general manager of the Aman-e-Khas. And also put your hands together. He's just been elevated. Earlier on, he was just the regional director for India. Now he has under his belt India, Bhutan, Sri Lanka for Aman as a regional director and the global head sustainability for Aman. Congratulations, Anand. Anand started work. Yeah.
Thank you, Bhuvi. Thank you for introducing me. Happy Holi to everyone.
A very happy Holi to you
I'm
too.
very excited, in fact, to be part of this show.
Pleasure. Anand started working in 2003 as a bellboy and grew up the operational rank to become a supervisor before getting enrolled in the OCLD for the uninitiated, the Oberoi Center of Learning and Development. After completing his PG, he was assigned to be a restaurant manager in Mumbai. He joined Aman, New Delhi in 2010 with the responsibility of front office and butlers, grew up to be the EAM in 2012 and the hotel manager in 2015. He became the general manager at the Amanek House in 2016 and has been working here since then. In 2020, he was given responsibility for overlooking India and became the regional director in India. Like I said, in 2022, Bhutan and Sri Lanka were added to the responsibility along with global head of sustainability for Aman to groom one of the brand pillars called Kriya. Well done, great achievement. Let me now circle back to Jaipur, to the boy that Delhi exported to Jaipur, Rishi Mattu. Boy, I said, because he's got that charm. He's the general manager of the ITC Rajputana in Jaipur. The skipper in Rishi has worked across multiple ITC hotels around the country. Starting off his career after passing out of the IHM Pusa, New Delhi, he joined Welcome Group Moria Sheraton as a front office assistant in the year 1999 and always aspired to achieve new heights in his career. Prior to his current role, he led New Delhi Sheraton as a resident manager. Well said, and a good introduction for you, Rishi.
Thank you, Bhuvi. Thank you for having me here. And it's a privilege to be a part of such a good platform. And Rajasthan has always been a great state and my first stint here. And it's just been amazing. Thanks to all the friends over here and colleagues, and look forward to the show.
I now just veer off slightly from Jaipur and head into Bishangarh to this man who drives a truly heritage asset, Sanji Joseph. Sanji is the general manager of the Alila Fort in Bishangarh. Hello, Sanji.
Hi, Bhuvi. Good to be here on the show with all of you.
Pleasure, Sanji. Sanji's interest in hospitality began since childhood. Having passed out of IHM Goa, he's worked with some prominent chefs during his college days. Sanji brings with him over 25 years of experience with leading hospitality brands, out of which the last 15 years was in senior leadership roles as the general manager with some iconic assets like the Leela, the Taj Group, Radisson Plaza by Carlson, Alila Hotels and Resorts, and Starwood. His expertise in change management and restructuring hotel business models and bringing all the stakeholders together to the success story. I now move into this gentleman with light eyes, Rahul Meni. Rahul is the general manager of the Jaipur Marriott Hotel. Hello, Rahul.
Hello, Bhavnesh. Thank you very much for the invitation. I'm very happy to be part of it.
Pleasure is ours, Rahul. In a career that spans over 21 years, Rahul has proved his impeccable performance across all the properties he's been associated with and has thus become a name to reckon with in the hospitality sector. Rahul has successfully spearheaded great teams and achieved significant milestones in his career. His credentials also include the launch of 2 brand new properties as the pre-opening general manager of the Renaissance Lucknow Hotel, the Jaisalmer Marriott Resort and Spa in 2015 and 2016 respectively. He's also served as the general manager for the Westin Kolkata in 2018. Excellent. Now, as we get into the show, I shall take a quick break. I'm learning the tricks of the trade. Here is a small commercial break. All right. Thank you, Siba. Thank you, Thin Kitchen. We're back. Let me welcome you all back again. Tourism in Rajasthan, challenges and opportunities for the hospitality industry. There are very few parallels, like I said, to the Rajasthan story that offers an entire package of what if one was to compare to any location globally. So authentic, so ethnic, full of charm and earthly splendor. Not just a Westerner's paradise, most Indians have yet to discover and experience Rajasthan and its amazing hospitality. Rajasthan is where the jet-set VVIPs, celebrities, and the fashionistas head for their getaways, or for their in the palace Indian wedding. I wouldn't want to name the celebrities, but there are so many and more lined up. Some can afford it, some can't. The charm of the erstwhile royalties, their lineage, their palaces, their opulence, and their assets have hardly any parallels. Think Rajputs, think Maharanas, think warriors, and the tales of valor and history that come along. Experiencing it all firsthand, the desert setting, camels, sand dunes, colors, spiritual tourism, or perhaps simplicity. It's a mix of it all. Rajasthan is where you ought to be. You've got Pushkar, you've got everything there. Rajasthan is as good as an opportunity as any opportunity can become. That old world charm, so infectious, so unique. Having said so much about Rajasthan and all you skippers who drive your vessels here, let us dive into the session straight away with my good friend in Udaipur, Nishant. Nishant, permit me to begin. Rajasthan's story is not new, just that it has to be told well and present its case in its true splendor. You don't have to sell it, it will sell. You just have to tell the story. Is that a right assessment, Nishant? What is your experience and what are your views?
Well, thank you, Bhuvi, and good evening, everyone. I think, to me, the most important question is that do we sell it enough? Does it sell enough on its own? Right? Are we exploiting every aspect of Rajasthan to the fullest? I think that's a bigger question for me, right? I mean, we all know, as you've mentioned in your introduction, that as a destination, it's a key attraction. It's loved by tourists all over the world for its heritage, for its deep-rooted culture. And I think in my experience, the kind of experiences and excursions that the state has to offer will never cease to grab your attention. You know, be it art, monuments, events, history, I mean, name a thing, spirituality, gems and jewelry, and above all, food. I mean, this list can go on and on. And I think the niche audience of Rajasthan has been the inbound. Of course, it's taken a backseat in last couple of years due to COVID. But I think revival and pandemic is almost behind us. And I like to believe that it's behind us now. This segment is going to grow larger and larger. And I think ever before, like domestic was hitting Rajasthan last year, like never before, I think inbound will also revive that way like never before. You know, and I think Rajasthan continues to offer things like Jaipur Festival and Pushkar Mela and the Gharanas offer the kind of music for the music lovers. I think it's a destination to be. So while the state sells on its own, but I think the whole ecosystem needs to be developed where each city is connected, where the hassle of moving from one city to the other city is not as difficult as it currently offers, right? So I think a better conducive ecosystem is required. And I'll give you an example of a place which is in my backdrop, which is called Kumbhalgarh. You know, very few people know that Kumbhalgarh has the largest wall, only second to Great Wall of China. Have we exploited that enough? Do we have sufficient wide roads for tourists from all over the world to take it to Kumbhalgarh for what it holds? And I think it's an amazing offering to the world that we are hiding ourselves in our backyards. So I think Rajasthan has an enriched history. It will sell, but I think if we put all our effort together, be it the government of India, government of Maharashtra, we know, government of Rajasthan, sorry, beg your pardon. We know the incredible India story in God's own country in Kerala. I think that kind of a campaign will help us even develop these smaller destinations and make it conducive for the larger brands to come up, right? There is not even a single hotel that you can name at the back of your hand to say it's a decent hotel in Kumbhalgarh. Another destination that I'll talk about is Javai. I think Javai can be a second Ranthambore. The sighting of a leopard is inevitable. You will get the sighting, but it doesn't have proper roads to reach there. It doesn't have decent hotels. This whole place needs to develop. And if we keep on waiting for it to develop organically, I think it'll take us ages. I think we need to move ahead in leaps and bounds. So it'll sell the way it was selling, but I think we can leapfrog and move ahead much better than just waiting for it to grow organically.
Excellent. So there's a story to tell.
Absolutely. And a huge one. And every part of Rajasthan offers not one story, but multiple stories.
All right. Now, you say Kumbhalgarh has a wall, which is only second to the one in China.
Absolutely.
So you tell the story, it'll sell.
True.
All right. वो जैसे हिंदी में बोलते हैं ना, जो दिखता है वो बिकता है.
Right. And दिखाना जरूरी है सर.
दिखाना जरूरी.
दिखा नहीं रहे हैं.
So I will now circle into Rishi, to Rahul. Rahul, while hotels of all genres mark their presence across major locations, the opportunity is so huge for both spread and penetration. Spread is about reaching all major locations, and within them, penetration is about being present across classifications, from luxury down to budget and economy. What then is holding back brands catering to all segments of clients and hotel classifications?
Dear Bhuvi, yes, it's a great question. And to take it on from what Nishant mentioned, I think I would like to share a little bit about my experience in terms of opening a hotel in Jaisalmer. So Jaisalmer also is a very offbeat destination. And I think the major drawback was probably the ease of reaching to that city. A person had to come to Delhi, to Jaipur, and then travel to Jaisalmer. But in the year 2016 is when we opened the hotel, and what a wonderful city. It's called the Golden City in Rajasthan. And if you see the facade being clad on almost all the buildings, and then you have the Sonar Killa, as it is called, or the Golden Fort, which is the only living fort, I think, in the world. So that's what the destination offers. And then we opened Jaipur Jaisalmer Marriott Resort and Spa, and it was a 140-room hotel, beautifully located, very close to the fort and the city. And slowly and steadily, we saw there was a demand that increased, and then and then there was an announcement of a new airline as well. So the destination got connected directly to Delhi and Jaipur, and that started bringing in a lot of business because there was ease to reach the destination. Similar example, I would also talk about my present hotel, which is Jaipur Marriott Hotel. When we opened the hotel, it seemed like doing such a large format hotel, 374 keys in Jaipur, would that be wise to do? But over the years, we have seen the hotel has ramped up really, really well, and we have surpassed the 75% occupancy mark in due course, and the city is only growing. We are only seeing more hotels coming up in the vicinity. So yes, there is with infrastructure development, things get better. The demand also sees a surge, and yes, it really helps to develop the destination, be it the case of Jaisalmer or Jaipur hotel. Within the hotel, within the city also, if you see, there are there are different micro markets which are coming up, and I would like to talk about Jaipur as a destination. We've seen the success story of Cookers as a micro market within Jaipur, and what fabulous hotels that we have there, and the large format weddings and events at a luxury scale that are being hosted in those hotels. So that becomes one of the micro market. Then we have airport and the airport cluster hotels. That is another, which caters to different clients, different set of price points, and also caters to different set of guests. So I think these destinations are evolving. We are already seeing a number of announcements within the cities. We are seeing new hotels being launched. One area that I foresee probably can also help grow these destinations with multiple brands. For example, there are smaller cities, and we have seen there is a lot of potential for destination wedding. So the format generally is for about 150 rooms. A residential wedding is good, keeping in mind the right balance of the banquet space or the venues and the room inventory. I think, and one of the factors that probably the hotels can keep in mind when planning these hotels in these destinations. So yes, of course, we are seeing various brands adding different brands within the group at a various price points. For example, Marriott has a budget hotel in Jodhpur. However, there are premium hotels in Jaipur, Jaisalmer, Pushkar, and other places. There is definitely a demand for more, and I think with addition of more brands, more hotels in the city, it will help these destinations to grow. We have beautiful destinations like Ranthambore. We have Bikaner as a destination. Pushkar is a destination. So yes, there is enough and more opportunity in all these cities to potentially open new hotels and cater to our guests.
Excellent. Thank you, Rahul. Well said. It gives us a good sense of the opportunities that are there and the landscape of Rajasthan. I'll now get back to you, Rishi. We just spoke earlier today also. The good news is that not just top domestic and international brands are making hay. Niche brands across heritage, read historic places, right? Those monuments, those forts, those palaces, all those locations are not only a very strong presence, they have a very loyal clientele and command solid premium on rates which are top drawer. Their experience can't be matched as they know the game best. Top international brands are either partnering with them or matching them. While this augurs well, what is your view? 1, 2, how do you measure up, and why is this opportunity so unique?
So first of all, Bhuvi, thank you again. It's a very interesting statement that you've made, and I would like to start by saying that India's Atithi Devo Bhav is glorified in the form of Padharo Mare Desh in Rajasthan. And Nishant did make a comment that we need to have a campaign. So I'm going to not touch upon that topic, but definitely a Padharo Mare Desh campaign can do wonders for Rajasthan. The strength of the local brands is because we understand the heritage here, we understand the culture, and we are very, very proud of it. Amongst others, if I can give a little credit to Maharaja Gaj Singh Ji, who actually brought in this concept, this unique concept of converting palaces, forts, existing havelis into hotels. This move actually put Rajasthan on the international tourism platform, and this was a great achievement. Today, every customer is looking for a unique, authentic local experience, whether domestic or international. So what has happened is that the domestic brands are therefore seeing a surge of openings, and as you said, there are a lot of players that are coming up because they understand the state, they understand the culture, and they are wanting to do better with existing hotels and building new hotels. International brands, again, they are looking for more and more partners. When I moved to Jaipur, my first scan of the competition in the city was throwing back just one simple word. Every single brand existed in the city, whether as Rahul spoke about the micro markets, or whether you consider the entire, the span of the city. You name the brand and it is here. Various budget ranges and everything. So therefore, obviously, there is tremendous scope over here. To talk about the future and the uniqueness, just to give an example of how domestic and international brands actually coexist. You know, ITC Hotels itself has about 18 hotels spread across the state, representing 3 brands: the Welcome Heritage, the Welcome Hotels, and the Luxury Collection. And to top it up, ITC Hotels has also announced 2 new brands: the Story, which will represent the unique boutique experiences, and the Mementos for the larger independent hotel owners. So all in all, I think this is a wonderful story, and the uniqueness of all of this comes under the sustainable tourism. A lot of local architecture is used, a lot of local cuisine. We imbibe the local customs, the local themes, and for the guests, these experiences are what really matter. From welcome to departure, every experience is actually around these local concepts. There's a lot of color, there's culture, there's music, everything that can be thought about is there in Rajasthan. And that is what makes it unique. That is what is asking all the international brands to be present over here, which is what is the greatness of the state.
Showcasing Rajasthan as an opportunities, they're absolutely huge, right? It's an open story. You can just the more you dig into it, the more you'll discover. You know, like you said, colors, food, the culture, some of the nicest and simplest people.
Absolutely.
It's a photographer's delight, not just a traveler's delight. Thank you for, and also, of course, Maharaja Gaj Singh, like you said, he opened it all up. All those heritage villas, those palaces. And of course, the new assets that have been created in Rajasthan actually take the Rajasthan experience to the next level, right? So they're actually doing a great job, and all your assets are brilliant. So, all your brands. So let me now circle into a good friend, like I said, off the road from Jaipur, to Sanji, who actually sits atop in a fort, right? With such a discerning lot of international domestic clients, Sanji, that frequent Rajasthan. What are the challenges and opportunities for you as a general manager? And how do you gear up to your teams across verticals in the hotel? And also, what are the possible pitfalls and upsides?
Very interesting one, Bhuvi. This is interesting for all of us as general managers in various brands that we operate, and the various kind of market mix that we take care of. COVID has changed a lot of things for all of us in terms of our actual business mix. Way back in 2003 to 5, when I was doing the palaces with the Taj, the villas and the palaces were only an inbound, heritage luxury kind of destination, which was 90% international clients and hardly 10% domestic market. When you did your annual segment mix, we used to have like 10%, sometimes 8% of Indians. And even then, it was such a small margin, we used to never say where they came from. It was so small, we didn't even bother to see whether it was North Indians or from Bombay or from Bangalore or whatever. It was just Indians, and it was just 8%, less than 10%. But that 10%, the average spend in those days was already 25-30% higher than the international spend. That, I guess, set a tone. Now, after 15 years, I'm back here and I'm seeing a very different trend, and that too just just after COVID is kind of disappearing from here, and we all like to believe that it no longer exists. But we just work with these segments today, and this is a segment that has completely changed our business today and has put us on recovery. Now, the flights are opening up, the skies are going to open up. What is that going to do for all of us? It's definitely going to bring back the old international clients, right? It's going to get the inbound in. Different markets in the globe are going to start opening up. There was a talk of, I think about 4 or 5 years back, we were focusing on China coming into India and working out as one of those segments that would really bring in that additional inbound business that we need. But things have changed. So political changes and all of this is going to affect us. Today, what I foresee is with this change of client mix or domestic mix that has come in, When you say the challenge within all the verticals and how do you prepare them, let's take an example of a kitchen as a case study. You had chefs who were over here preparing unique, cuisine, which was always had some local element in it, had a nice international fare, farm to table concept. It was all catering to a certain international audience. Today, you have the clients who I know all my colleagues here have similar guests who walk in and say, mujhe chili chicken chahiye ya, paneer ye karke do. And what does the chef say? The chef just has to make it. So they have to get flexible. They have to understand that, the clients are changing. Finally, we are all here for our guests, right? We don't discriminate and say, Atithya Deva Bhava is only for inbound. It's not for our domestic guests. So, we are all, the good side of it is that if domestic has given us this recovery, inbound is going to make it better. You're going to have a good mix of segments. So you're talking about more pies coming onto your plate. So if your plate only had 2 different varieties of pies and, coming in from a few destinations like Delhi, NCR, probably Bombay, probably Bangalore and a few other cities like Cal, and Jaipur being a wedding destination has seen so many people coming in from different parts of the country wanting to do a destination wedding, and one of the best in the country in terms of the largest numbers that come in for a destination wedding. So all of that, if it's going to just add and add and add to the pie. So inventory is going to grow. New brands are going to come in. Hyatt, which is Alila is a part of Hyatt today, has got a Hyatt Regency opening up and a Hyatt Place opening up in Jaipur in the next few months. So we are catering to 2 different segments over there. Within the brand, we're catering to two different segments. So the pie is just going to keep increasing. So that's a plus side. The challenging side is what all of us speak about. We are not used to dealing with such guests sometimes. We are not used to dealing with such situations sometimes. And a lot of that is probably because of the psychological changes that not only we have had, but even the guests have had. They're used to traveling, and many of them are cooped up for a year and a half. They haven't seen an airport. People who have been traveling regularly every month has not taken a flight. They're all going through withdrawal symptoms. So there's a sense of what they come to a property or a destination, what they want to do. And when they come here, and if there are small things which kind of just gets them going, like they just feel that, the 24 hours or 48 hours that they have with you is not being well spent after 1 year of them sitting at home. That's a challenge. And if we don't understand our guests and we don't understand their requirements, and if we don't train our team in every vertical, whether it's the front office, whether it's food and beverage, whether it's the kitchen, if we don't keep preparing them as general managers, as leaders, this challenge is going to be there to stay. And tomorrow, when we have the international guest also along with our Indian guest, you might find down the line team deviating back to the old days, which was 2 decades back. You always had this complaint from an Indian guest. It was a complex complaint. You're looking after the foreigners, you're not looking after us. It's going to come back. And these are all psychological issues, and we need to go deep down, dwell into it, and make sure that as a team, we are really prepared and we train our team to be prepared for such an eventuality as well. So, one of the ways of coming out of this is getting them to multitask, getting them to be multi-skilled, to cater to this mixed diaspora. You can't just have a chef who knows only to do this or another chef who knows only to do this. They have to get flexible. The team has to get flexible. They have to start getting in more skills. And we need to be agile. So I guess these are the few ways of, as a leader, we can, train our team to get agile and quickly change your way of thinking. Like today you're doing a wedding and tomorrow a conference is going to check in. So a wedding client's requirement is completely different from a corporate that's going to walk in to do a conference. Your team has to be, it has to be a turnaround. Things that never happened before. We worked in hotels, we worked in silos. You worked in a palace, you only dealt with X kind of client. You work in a Grand Hyatt kind of a property, which is all conferencing and large numbers and convention. You only dealt with that. You were not.
You have to essentially think on your feet and
completely
right. So, and a good leader leads the way, and his team picks it up from him. Well said, Sanji. So Rajasthan is actually far more demanding because it presents a strong case for not just itself, but also for the country. I'll now go back to my good friend who sits where most of us would want to be. Another matter, we can't afford a night stay, right? Ranthambore and the Amane Khas, Anand Shekhawat. Anand, I have a long one for you, right? But be mindful that I have a long question for you, but your time limit remains the same, right? Tell us some of the unique out-of-hotel opportunities that can offer to up the guest's experience, feel, expectation, and how do you stitch them with partners without it being too much or too less? That's one. The other one, which I can come back, is also about POW, not prisoners of war. We're talking about the iconic palace on wheels, that incredible world best train by the Indian Railways. It's been there for all the years that I can remember. That takes a guest's experience of Rajasthan, its royalty, and then all that the state has to offer to another level. But this misses a hospitality opportunity for those guests. They remain on the train, right? Can something be done to do a win-win situation for hotels? So if you forget the question, ask me again. I would be happy to read it since it's a long.
Thank you. Thank you, Bhuvi. Thank you. I'll try and cover it up. Rajasthan, I think Rajasthan was one of the first states where hospitality really picked up. And it was basically experiences which drew the entire world. So in comparison, we had Egypt, and then it was India, where we had our desert, in fact, and the history, 5,000 years of being ruled by Maharajas and colors and culture. And I think that is what attracted a lot of travelers. Our history also brought in the international brands. Our people were pretty accustomed to Atithi Devo Bhava. They accepted people coming in, and that was what also helped. So say, for example, Aman came to India, and the only two properties what we have is in Rajasthan, because it has those pure experiences to offer, just not in the hotel. So either you create a little cocoon where you stitch everything in it and still can claim $1,000 a night, or you incorporate communities which are around, or you incorporate history which is around. So whether it's hill forts of Rajasthan, or maybe a little NGO, in fact, which is working on towards uplifting kids. People need purpose to travel. And I think Rajasthan has a perfect cocktail mix of all of it, which can offer culture, it can offer history, it can offer these unique opportunities to dive into the lives of people, in fact, who live in different parts of the state. I also wanted to highlight the fact that we have to be very careful when we do that. We should not be stepping on it or ruining it to the fact that we start affecting communities and cultures and start offending local beliefs. And that what happens is also amends the course of the local behavior, which is people. And eventually we might lose the entire sheen. So say, for example, Ranthambore was fantastic when you had a limited number of vehicles going in, or it had few people, and unfortunately it had less tigers. Now it has got fantastic 80 plus population, and that allows an opportunity to a lot of inbound or international guests, and also domestic who wants to learn about these elusive cats. But what also happens is that it creates a rush, a mad rush, where we lose that sense of wilderness, and some destinations groom themselves in need to fill the rooms, groom themselves as wedding destinations. So I know business is important, and it definitely provides employment, but it somehow we have to have a perfect balance of culture and business. So there has to be a like how it should be typically done, in fact. And I think the government can play a very important role in doing it. Coming to prisoner of war, yes.
Palace on wheels.
Oh, Palace on wheels. Palace on Wheel, I think, was a great initiative. It was a great marketing for Rajasthan. I think it helped. It started in 1982. That was the year I was born as well. So we complete 40 years together. Palace on Wheels was basically an Indian version of what Deccan Odyssey or the African train experiences, or in fact Oriental Express in Europe would offer. And it did an exceptionally amazing job in regards with creating or garnering attention to Rajasthan. And then there were multiple trains, in fact, which followed India. So we had Deccan Odyssey in southern India, and we had Maharaja Express, and there's this lovely, cute train experience called, I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It used to be Ferry Queen, the only steam locomotive engine, in fact, which will drive into Rajasthan. So these were fantastic PR initiative, and I think how they can help hospitality in general is that it started offering. It became a complete solution. So you book 14 nights, you only travel through, and there were so many unique hotels and experiences which you would generally miss sleeping on a coach or dining on a railway track. So I assume the government can make it slightly elaborate and offer experiences. Can divide it, so maybe 2 nights stay and have continuous journey, in fact, and more of a fun and dining during the day, where so it becomes a journey rather than an itinerary.
So while you did have to share your date of birth or your year of birth to give somebody who's graying a complex, but tell me about cats. Do you actually get to see them daily, and do you have any favorites? Are they able to react to you?
So we live, my camp is right at the edge or fringes of Ranthambore National Park. I've got, this morning when I went for a walk, there was a male tiger which had just passed through. So I could, with the pug mark, we knew that it was around, say, 4:30 is when it had moved. So it came pretty close to the property. We have intruders, in fact, these cats which come. Fortunately, what we also do is that we have wildlife background and trained teams which are trained, and we ensure that we explain it to the guest as well, that we have to be respectful to it. People love it, and they still pay us $1,000 a night or more.
Before I have to pay $1,000 to Rajiv Kapoor, let me slip in with a question for him. Rajiv, tell me, within driving reach, clients have more than made their presence felt. They come. Now, this is a great opportunity. You're so favorably located. You have them all around. You have Delhi, you have Gurgaon. Gurgaon is the so-called Millennium City. Whole lot of money sits over there, right? So tell me about all these guys and this opportunity. How many clients do you get who drive in, and the ones who come in by air, and what does it feel as an opportunity, and the options that it creates for you?
Oh, great, Bhuvi. Thank you for that. What has happened before COVID, we all knew a word known as vacation. And now vacation word does not exist. It has become a staycation or a workation or a driving down station or for wellness. And what has happened with the last 2 years, people were not ready to fly in an aeroplane because they have to share aeroplane with other guests. They were not taking trains because, again, there is a fear. You have a family, you have elder ones, you have young ones in your family, and you want to travel, and you've been locked in for 1 or 2 years in your room or apartment, whatever. And people wanted to get out. And the best way to do is, and I remember, during the COVID days, we all have washed so many vegetables, even they were landed on our doorsteps, right? We were so feared to touch anything. So the best way to find your comfort zone was your own car, right? Put the luggage in, put the kids and family in, and drive down to staycations or to places. And Rajasthan, geographically, what a wonderful location, right? 6 states around, or cities. You got Gujarat on one side, you got MP down below it, Delhi, Gurgaon, as you said, Punjab, Haryana, everything around. And I'm telling you, the place where we are located, Fairmount, is on the Delhi-Jaipur highway. And we are 35 minutes away from Jaipur. We are within the city. We are next to the Amir Fort. There's all Kukas has become a hub, like we discussed here. 3.5 hours you are in Gurgaon, 4.5 hours you're in Delhi. As Accor, we have strategically, and the Golden Triangle have been there for long, right? Anybody inbound used to go to Delhi, Gurgaon, Delhi, Jaipur, Agra. So that part, nobody can take it away. Anybody who will come to India will still do that on traveling on roads through cars or through buses or Volvos or whatever that might be. And like we all discussed, Jaipur has so much to offer, right? Bikaner, Jodhpur, Udaipur, Pushkar, and that's a whole trail of driving down. So there is a lot of opportunities. And I can tell you, people have gone in last 2 years used to traveling. I have so many colleagues, friends from Delhi, Gurgaon, every other places. Every now and then they get opportunity. Let's go out for a weekend, and they're driving down to different places in Rajasthan or hills or different places. So there is a lot of opportunities. For my hotel, I can tell you at the Fairmount, everyday basis, we have between 50 to 60 arrivals if there is not a weddings. And most of 70% of these guests are coming for occasion, anniversaries, birthdays, couples are coming in. They want to go to a spa. So we have also created a lot of experiences within the hotel and resort and outside, exertions, hikings, yoga sessions, spa therapies, all wellness point around for them. And every hotel in Rajasthan, like we discussed, the culture, the food, the music. And another beautiful story about Rajasthan is the four seasons. I can say, right? Rains are so beautiful; they're magical. Winters are amazing. Temperature goes to up to 1 or 2 degrees, right? You go to a desert in the day, do a safari, come in the evening, and it's so cold. It's brilliant. So there are a lot of opportunities also. We just heard from our transport minister a few days ago. There is a new road being made from Delhi, going till Mumbai, passing through Rajasthan, where they want to cut down the distance between Delhi to Jaipur from, let's say, 4.5 hours to less than 2.5, 3 hours. So I think so. There is more to come. There is a lot of opportunity. You go to New Zealand, you take a caravan, right, and you go all around. So I think so in that tourism aspect, Rajasthan, there is plentiful to be done. More opportunities are coming our way.
So yeah, if stories are to be told, each one of you is telling a great story. Leela, Udaipur has a story to tell. Fairmont has a story. Rajputana has a story. Marriott has a story. And of course, Bishangarh does and Ranthambore does. We are all storytellers. And if telling story can make you some money on the side, why not? But responsibly. So without compromising on sustainability aspects of our planet, yes, why not? Great job. So let me now get back to you, Nishant. Yeah. And before that, yeah, Nishant, I just have a warning over here that I have to introduce the next show. Salman. I think something's happened. Salman, are you sleeping? Chalo, Koini, we'll start with Nishant. Let us be honest. Pricing can be a great or perfect attraction to pull in guests across not just seasons, but also the off seasons. When is price just right? When is it high to put away guests? You won't want to lose any guest, any opportunity, and how do aggregators, these OTA platforms, play their role for your benefit while making it possible for a hesitant guest to sign up a holiday?
Oh, well, I feel I've worked in other markets as well, but I think Rajasthan is very dynamic market when it comes to pricing, where there is each segment has something to offer at different price points. And season pricing also plays a very important role to get your right audience. I think seasonal pricing, and we all know it's pricing is a function of demand. And while we'll speak about demand, I'll speak about demand. I think what this COVID in last 2 years has taught us, I think it's taught us pricing more than ever before. How with evolving condition of COVID, we had to tweak our pricing. And I have never done that kind of a pricing changes that we had to do in last 2 years. And it reaped us a great results. There was a huge amount of learning as well. And typically, seasonal pricing in this market is about 40, 50, or even 60% higher than the off-season pricing. And travelers, when they're booking, how much to book, where to book, how much a vacation would cost them. I think it's very important for each customer to know. And are they getting the right value for the kind of hotel they are choosing to stay? So I think, my expectation pricing would be to create that demand. So, with whatever the demand is, I think we are pretty much, with the kind of value we offer as properties, are doing a great job. But can we make Rajasthan a 12-month destination like Goa now? Goa wasn't a 12-month destination a few years back. Now it has become a 12-month destination. And there are enough and more in Rajasthan, may not be entire Rajasthan, but few pockets definitely, which can become one destination or the other within Rajasthan for 1 month or the other. Right? Monsoons are great, and Rajiv was speaking about monsoons in Rajasthan. Typically, even in Udaipur, I think it's stunning when Udaipur is stunning during monsoons.
Yes.
2 or 3 months in Rajasthan are beautiful during monsoons, and I'm talking about Udaipur, and I'm sure there are many more cities like that, and other months for other places. When it comes to OTAs, we as brands, we've been successful, but to only a considerable amount as far as getting the traffic to our websites. But I think OTAs were relevant, and they continue to be relevant in the days to come. I think the world has moved digital, and the kind of offerings that OTAs offer, while the yield on a booking through our own engines is much more higher than an OTA, but I think we can't ignore OTAs from this whole landscape, and they continue to be relevant. And how do we engage with them to build offerings of our hotel? How do they showcase our hotels to the world outside will be the key to drive traffic and make these OTAs a great platform to drive demand.
Yeah, and also we must also accept there's a lot of investment that you sink into the assets that you run.
Correct.
Two, your position at the absolute upper end of the spectrum, your luxury. So yes, discerning guests know that, and they know where they are going. Otherwise, they can go to another resort which matches their price expectations.
That's right.
But having said that, is there a case that the OTAs actually pull down the price, or can you hold them back?
No, I think pricing is it's completely controlled by the hotels, right? For example, our pricing on our website to OTAs is always the same. You will not see a variation, right? But yes, the deals that OTAs offer is something that we are aware that if they were to dilute it through deals, it will go to a certain proportion and we're okay with it for the kind of businesses that they generate for us. So it's not that we play in the hands of OTAs. It is something that is completely in your hands to plug it on or off.
All right. Well said, Nishant. Let me now get back to you, Rahul. Rahul, let's talk the experiential side of the hospitality business. With that point of view, Rajasthan is India's top go-to location for destination weddings and MICE. what has been your experience? Where are we right now? What more can be done to take these categories to the next level from an experience and revenue standpoint? I mean, destination weddings, people are either going to Rajasthan or they're going to Goa. Right. So you have that sitting advantage already.
Right.
What more? How do we make the best of it?
Sure. So it's a great question. I would like to talk about, you asked me about my experience. I was fortunate to work in 3 cities in Rajasthan. So I worked in Taj Lake Palace, and I previously mentioned I worked in Jaisalmer as an opening GM for Jaisalmer Resort and Spa, and now in Marriott Jaipur. So while Lake Palace was completely FIT driven, and I think that justifies the stand of keeping that hotel, which has a lot of heritage value, as an FIT hotel, offering a different kind of experience overall. Coming to Jaipur Marriott, I think predominantly we've seen a lot of MICE and weddings getting booked. In fact, the hotel is capable to do multiple weddings at the same time because of the large banquet spaces that we have and the number of rooms that we have in the hotel. So Rajasthan has been growing and has made a strong impact on segments like celebrity weddings hosted by grand palaces and resorts. There's been large format medical conferences, corporate events, OTT film shoots, and big format events like IPL and sports segment. What I feel is the smaller destinations also can probably can see growth in number of hotels which can take these destination weddings like Jaipur, Bikaner, and cities like these. So there is an opportunity. While there has been a lot of work that has already gone into in terms of developing the infrastructure in terms of road connectivity, and there has been incentive programs by government to launch smaller aircrafts and connect these destinations. I think that is one of the main criteria for people to reach a destination, is to probably have that ease of reaching that destination and accordingly grow the MICE and wedding business. So we all know Rajasthan is widely known for its royalty, heritage, food, and culture. So elevating the wedding experience in MICE events at a larger scale and under one roof in key destination is something that I would say is a success formula, that you can do rooms and you can also provide fabulous venues within the hotel to actually curate the entire event within the hotel and not look for spaces. Probably if you can do that, that's great, but I think giving that ease to do it within the hotel could be one of the success formulas that I really feel. Some other factors that really worked, as I spoke about, connectivity and connectivity to smaller cities of Rajasthan will definitely play a very important role. We also see a lot of inbound business which has been impacted, yes, for the past 2 years has been coming otherwise to Jaipur. But I think the area of opportunity there is to have maybe international connectivity as well, rather than connecting it from other cities and then kind of involving travel in between. Could also ease out to develop various cities. Other very important and culturally very, very strong point, and some of our speakers already mentioned, it's hub for music. We can develop and grow a lot of cultural activities within the state. There can be we can cultivate various IPs and campaigns, local folk festivals like we do. Jodhpur Sufi Festival is one such example, or Jaisalmer Desert Festival is one such example. Maybe Gangor Festival in Udaipur is another such.
Which Rahul, I'll hold you back because that is my next question.
Yes, please.
Right, I'm going to move with that to Rishi.
Sure.
So Rishi, if I was the tourism head of a state, I would want assurance, right? I would want business to be more predictable, right? I would create fixed event calendars, right? I'm talking about creating local circuits to showcase the state, its heritage, history, and all that it has to offer. is not just an opportunity, it can make travelers' inflow more predictable by way of fixed dates on the calendar. Case in point, Jaipur Literary Festival, the JLF, right? It's just happening or just closed. There is so much more. Rajasthan has polo, it has Pushkar, spiritual or perhaps desert safaris in Jaisalmer, given its sand dunes. What is your view? I'm somebody who's pushing for circuits. Create multiple circuits and hospitality will flourish, right? Isn't this just low-hanging fruit? Is it really doable? Is it possible? Now let's have short, crisp answers.
Short, crisp is what you get. You've actually named a lot. Rahul is named a lot. But when you talk about circuits, let me just start by saying that Rajasthan is one of the largest states. And as Rahul mentioned, that it has 6 surrounding states. It has a lot of history, heritage, culture, etc. And believe me when I say this, a lot of circuits actually really exist. So typically Rajasthan is a 2-city trip. So whenever somebody plans, they would always plan either a Jaipur and a Jodhpur or a Jaipur and an Udaipur and so on and so forth. So there are micro mini circuits available. What pandemic has done is that they have introduced this motorable distance holidays, what Rajiv mentioned about, staycations and workations and etc. What people did realize over the last 2 years is that Rajasthan does provide a good infrastructure in terms of road, in terms of connectivity, and people loved moving around. And I feel that this is a hyper trend and this is not going to go anywhere. So to answer the question about circuits, the circuits will exist. The circuits will increase. You did mention about photography, and I would like to add over here that there will be an emerging wildlife circuit. Like Anand said, he talked about Ranthambore getting flooded with gypsies and probably a lot of people coming in. There is a photography session, a photography circuit. Photography can also be divided into nature, can be divided into your pre-wedding shoots. In fact, there is somebody over here very close to.
Your Bharatpur Bird Sanctuary is an opportunity.
Bharatpur, Sambar, there is off-roading tracks that are being built up. There is biking getaways that are being built up. So all these small micro circuits are actually going to come up in a very big way. And as I mentioned earlier, this hyper trend of motorable distances is not going to go away. Going to the next part, which is actually the events that you were mentioning. Rajasthan has many such things already in place. You talked about the JLF, it just concluded. They lasted for about 7-8 days this time. They did a hybrid model. Rajasthan, believe me, is actually considered as a role model for city events. The other states like Delhi, they actually look at Rajasthan because we have been able to create so many events that are spread across such a wide spectrum. And we have leveraged festivals, we have leveraged local customs, local celebrations. Rahul talked about Tej and Gongor. There is a kite festival. Holi and Diwali are celebrated very differently in Jaipur, in Udaipur, smaller cities like Alsisar, Mandava. There is a Nagaur festival. There is an Udaipur World Music Festival. There is a desert festival that happens in Jaisalmer. Mount Abu hosts a summer and a winter festival. There is a Dashera that happens in Kota. These are only a few examples. Only day before yesterday, we had the vintage, the car rally that concluded here in Jaipur. And I saw 130 vintage cars from all across the country coming into Jaipur. What I'm trying to say is that people like to plan trips, during these times so that they can get a little more out of their vacation. So you have these festivals, you have these events, and definitely there has to be a push. State tourism is active. They do tie-ups with magazines, with car companies. They promote these unique experiences. They have recently introduced 5 new sound and light shows at 5 different locations. Nagaur, Dholpur. We haven't spoken about Chittorgarh. Nishant spoke about Kumbhalgarh. Chittorgarh is one of the most amazing forts. There is
and you're forgetting the Urs in Ajmer.
Yeah, absolutely. And Rajasthan is completely doable. To answer the last question, I mean, it's completely doable. Circuits, events,
yeah,
it's beautiful. It just needs to come together.
It's been 70 years. We still haven't created them. Who is going to do it? Well, the jury is out. I shall now move in to my good friend in Bishangarh, Sanji. Sanji, back to you. How are you doing?
Good, very interesting conversation. Everything is getting threaded together.
Yeah, it is. Hopefully, and that's the purpose. Tell me, how much of a pull does Rajasthani cuisine play in the Rajasthan travel? In your last response, you were talking about, how the chefs need to be fleet-footed, stay and experience of both an international guest or for that matter, a domestic guest, and how much is too much or too little for balancing the tilt between Rajasthani, Western or other cuisines. For instance, if it is lal mas for the carnivores, I'm a vegetarian. There is dal bati for me as a vegetarian, right? International and Western fare or other Indian cuisine are par for the course for any good hotel of any class, and as a given, it is the local food, which is really experiential.
So here's the thing. I mean, it's not just about Rajasthan. You go to any destination. There's one thing that you always ask the hotel manager or the restaurant manager, or if you're a foodie, you call the chef, and you say, "What do you make best over here?" There's always something that an avid traveler will come and ask you.
क्या है?
आज तुम्हारा सबसे अच्छा dish बताओ. And it's always a local dish. It will always be what the destination is famous for. And the beauty of Rajasthan is that, we've spoken about all these circuits, we've spoken about all these different destinations. Each of these destinations has a unique lal mas that comes from. The lal mas is not a dish that is same across Rajasthan. It just changes from region to region. Now, how many of our travelers really know about it? So small things like this is always the essence of any good destination. Not just Rajasthan, anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world. Now, having said that, this COVID has also brought a lot of master chefs on board. Every second person today at home is a master chef after the COVID 6 months of sitting at home. Or every way there's some new dishes that have been created, and everyone's now a connoisseur. Everyone has conversations when it comes to food, or trying to experiment, or trying to be doing something different. Most of our hoteliers, most of us in hotels today have a cooking school in our hotel. Most of us. I'm sure Anand does it. I'm sure many of you also do it in your hotels, where a guest comes in and says he's happy to do a dish with the chef. And these things are becoming very interesting. So local fare is, yes, the mainstay. You need to have that. But it doesn't take away from the fact that our Indians, not just our Indians who come from different states, they want their comfort food as well. For breakfast, people do want their idli and dosa. Now, they will never make it at home, but they'll come to the hotel, whether in Rajasthan, Punjab or Delhi, they want to have idli and dosa, which is coming from the south of India.
So save a paratha for me, sir.
But the paratha to hai, that goes without saying, but I'm just saying the uniqueness of that, the flexibility of what we do. And then, of course, your local mircha vadas, or your bajre ki roti and your white butter.
What you're saying is there has to be a balance.
There has to be a balance.
Comfort food is essential. You can't have what is prepared in a wedding 3 times a day.
Exactly. And when the international clients come in, they want to try your Indian food, whichever region of the country we are in. And when they come to Rajasthan, we have to give them the flavors. And Rajasthani cuisine is so varied, it's so vast. There are so many dishes which go straight up the alley for an international client to enjoy, without the heat or without the excess of spice. There are so many authentic dishes that we can serve them. So it's not that you're taking it away by saying, no, authentic means it has to be spicy, or authentic means it's not meant for a delicate belly.
True.
Authentic means bringing it out right. And even if you're doing those 4 things right in your destination, those 4 things become your signature. And that goes a long way for you as a hotel, as a hotelier, and a destination. And likewise, when the Indian diaspora comes in, or the international clients come in, they want to have their grilled fish. Now, Rajasthan is not big on fish, but you've got to give them the grilled fish. You've got to give it right.
True. So let me now take that road to Ranthambore. Back to you, Anand. Permit me to get you to Crystal Gaze. Why don't you make some bold predictions on Rajasthan hospitality, travel, and tourism? Right? In your view, and perhaps to all of us to agree on the final list, what are the top 5 Rajasthan hospitality, travel and tourism locations right now? 1. 2, what are the top 3 to 5 locations which are still virgin and still not taken and could be a good rope in over the next 3 to 5 years as in an opportunity? And what are some of the missed opportunities and why? Zyada time nahi hai isko compress karna.
Ji, Bhuvi, I think we all know, just among us, we are from, I assume, from the 5 most known destinations: Jaipur, Ranthambore, Udaipur, Jodhpur, and Jaisalmer. These are 5 hot destinations, and they've done exceptionally well in past and during pandemic. In regards with 3 to 5 virgin destinations, I think Shekhawati holds enormous potentials with its frescoes and paintings and Havelis are the rich heritage what it has left. Chambal, which is the only perennial river which flows through Rajasthan and is considered to be the cleanest river of the country, holds enormous potentials. I've been on few cruises and I've loved that terrain and the culture or people in fact who are around, and I think holds potential to have a uber luxury experience created around it. Bundi is another fantastic destination and has not been, and even in fact Kota for that matter, which is around, is another an exceptional, amazing destination with its history. Jawai and its red turban Rebari is another version destination, in fact, which holds more potential than what it has been utilized for. In regards with yes.
No, go ahead.
What was your last question, if I may?
My last question: what are some of the missed opportunities and why?
Well, if we have to speak about missed opportunities, Rajasthan drives the highest ADR in the country and most probably the occupancy as well. We miss upon offering the deliverables which also comes along with this high demand ADR. And if I have to say for example, we do not have a beverage in regards with alcohol, what you get, we fail to get the best of the lot which comes to India in regards with price point and offerings. And I assume some taxes also plays an important role in that. Another is transportation. So for example, if you have to call for a charter, it costs so much that people opt out of few destinations, in fact. So I think better airline transportation or smaller charter planes.
Well, you spoke about Chambal and all the other locations which are not tapped yet. Quickly, are you aware of brands or developers who are looking at those locations?
Oh yes, it's ongoing. If you look at Chambal, you've got there are few, in fact, fantastic operators, in fact, which have been exploring opportunities around River Chambal. Chambal is 30 kilometers from Ranthambore as well. It's on the other side of Ranthambore, and so is Bharatpur. So it's not that Chambal is somewhere where Dakus only live. It is pretty popular. There's a culture which banks around. There are tribals, in fact, who live.
I had to ask this question of a local Shekhawati lad, right? So you're a better place to speak about this. Thank you for a good response. Last but not the least, I go back to that spot where most people, when they leave Rajasthan, they go past the Fairmont. Rajiv, you, modern state-of-the-art, latest hotels in Rajasthan like yours, right? And soon another one coming behind you, right? You may want to speak about it. This setting, or may I say historic heritage assets, converted into hotels or modern hotels built mimicking the historic heritage. What works? What doesn't work? Is there a balance?
Oh, great, Bhuvi. I feel both hotels work in its own way. Let's talk about the historical palaces, small Havelis converted into beautiful assets in hotels. Take example of Taj Lake Palace. Take example of the new Six Senses, which has opened in the fort. Take examples of Alila Bishamgarh Fort. These are all historic, small boutique havelis or palaces which are converted into the hotels.
Or
And
the
Sharaj
Uber, or
hotels.
the Uber luxury Leela.
Those hotels were great. They are great. They will remain great. Primarily for FIT hotels for travelers. If you're coming from outside India, now people are traveling everywhere in the world. That's where hotels like Fairmont are born, right? We are presence all across the globe, international brands, international travelers. They want to have a culture of India. They want to experience Havelis and culture, food, but they want to have their luxuries within their own room, which for I will say a palace or an old fort to convert into a modern hotel is too difficult with so many laws, so many amendments to be done in the building is not possible. Now, I'll give you a very small story of Fairmont Jaipur. It's a replica of a 400-year-old Rajasthani palace with the modern amenities. It has one of the biggest ballroom in Rajasthan, and we're making a second ballroom in the hotel. So we take care of multiple aspects of celebration within the Fairmont, FIT, travelers, celebrating guests from different moments. And then we're getting luxury weddings from all over the world and within India. And like rightly you said, we are opening a raffles just behind my hotel in Jaipur, which will be coming up next year. Our ownership, we just opened a raffles in Udaipur in the middle of lake. So spectacular. It's a mid path of migrating birds.
I've had the privilege of being there, staying there and reviewing the asset.
So it's a beautiful modern hotel with culture of palace, services of a world-class accor and Raffles Butler program and the whole itinerary to all our guests. So I say both hotels are a win. The old palaces will remain. Taj Lake Palace will be Taj Lake Palace all the time in the world, right? But the new Raffles, which is again 360 degrees lake all around, is a beautiful facility to go. So I will say customers will visit both the hotels. There are different segments of guests who both hotels are looking at, totally different segments. Once inbound comes in, you will see all the different hotels throughout all these places will be full of customers from around the world.
Great. I won't hold you back since you're sitting in Dubai. Thank you for your time. You've come in from there. Raat abhi jawan hai, and Dubai should just be waking up.
Absolutely, such a pleasure. I'm attending the Accor regional conference here, and like I said, India is very hot. I hear from the conference there is a lot of people waiting to come to India. Everybody. And Rajasthan is on top of the charts. I can assure you that.
So say our regards to Puneet, Mark, and your entire colleagues over there. Right?
I will do that.
Have a great evening. Gentlemen, this has been a wonderful session. Not just the session that we've held. Rajasthan is a story to tell to other locations on how to make or create opportunities responsibly. Rajasthan is a story for others to take and create employment opportunities, business opportunities, and make some money, like I always say, by the side. Thank you for telling a story. But there is a story for me also, that I'm coming to all your assets, right? And you're sitting in such beautiful assets, what great teams and what stories to tell. Life is, after all about telling stories, and each one of you told it well. Before I draw a curtain on the show tonight, this evening, let me briefly introduce the next show. Our next two shows are on Tuesday and Thursday, March 22, March 24, 5 p.m. And both of them are back-to-back Goa specials. Some of the finest captains of their vessels will be there to tell their story. And the first show is about hospitality in India's tourism hotspot, Goa. So be there and encourage us and encourage all the leaders who will be there. Thank you. It's been a pleasure sharing the screen with you. Thank you, Nishant. Thank you, Sanji, Rahul, Rishi, Anand, and last but not the least, Rajiv. Your questions were the last in the first session and the second one. Thank you for your time. And thank you for the wonderful BW and BW Hotelier team, which is controlling the session. Thank you all.
Thank you, Bhuvnesh. Thank you, team.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Look forward to seeing you in person soon, and cheers to all you guys.
Very soon.
Nice
Very
evening
soon.
session.
Very soon. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Thank you. Bye-bye.